Hello and welcome to Learning with Lulu. So in this video we are going to be going over a summary of chapter 15 in Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. So in chapter 15, Rochester fulfills his promise to Jane to tell her about Adele's origins, about her past and her relation to him, Mr. Rochester. So he explains to Jane that he had a very long affair with Adele's mother, named Celine Varens, and she was a French woman who is a singer and a dancer, and Mr. Rochester doted on her. He doted on her. And he then came to discover one night when he was waiting in her room, unseen by her, she came in with another man, and she was obviously with him in that like romantic sense, and Rochester realized that she had just kind of been using him for his money. She didn't really care anything about him, and she wasn't faithful to him. And so Rochester ends the relationship, and months later, Adele, as an infant, is left with him. Celine claims that he is the father, and Mr. Rochester he denies that. He notes, like, she looks nothing like me. And he's like, she's not mine. But still, you get a little peek into Rochester's character, in that even though he feels that there's no responsibility that he should have over this child, he does make sure she's taken care of. He provides for her and makes sure that she is properly cared for. So even though he's like, she's not mine, he's still making sure she's properly taken care of. And this is going to be reflected in a larger situation later on in the novel. So just keep that in mind about Mr. Rochester. And then Jane relates how later she's laying in bed, she's kind of thinking a lot about what Mr. Rochester has told her. She's kind of brooding over it. And she hears outside her room what sounds like fingers brushing against the walls. And then she hears an eerie laugh and out in the hallway. And so she is a little freaked out, and she leaves her room at one point and discovers that there is a lot of smoke coming from Rochester's doorway. So she goes and finds that his bed curtains are enveloped in flame, and she helps rouse him. She wakes him up. They get the fire put out, and he's like, okay, I need to go kind of figure out what's just happened. And so he visits the third floor. He tells her to stay there. And then he comes back and he's like, I figured it out, like, it's exactly what I thought it was. And then he kind of questions, not interrogate, it's not as like, I would say he's not interrogating her, but he questions her, like, have you heard the eerie laughter before? And all of this. And Jane references that she has thought that maybe Grace Poole has kind of sounded that way before. And Rochester's like, oh, yep, like Grace Poole, you guessed it, ding, ding, ding. And he confirms Jane's suspicion. So then he thanks Jane for saving his life. In the movies, they always make this like a super like sexual tension scene. And he cautions her to tell no one the details of that night, of the fire. And he goes and sleeps on a sofa, I think in like the library. And she goes off to bed and goes to sleep. So that is chapter 15. A lot happens there. Per usual, I like to share a little bit from the text, and I'm just going to share one paragraph from the text today, and it's going back to Rochester telling Jane about Adele's origins. And he essentially says, like, oh, does that make you judge her more? And I love Jane's response. This is what she says back. No, Adele is not answerable for either her mother's faults or yours. I have a regard for her, and now that I know she is, in a sense, parentless, forsaken by her mother, and disowned by you, sir, I shall cling closer to her than before. How could I possibly prefer the spoilt pet of a wealthy family who would hate her governess as a nuisance to a lonely little orphan who leans towards her as a friend? So that was Jane's response. I love her kind heart. I think Jane is, and I love her defense of children. So that is chapter 15 of Jane Eyre. I hope this video has been beneficial to you. Please make sure to subscribe to this channel, like the video, comment down below any thoughts you have about chapter 15 from Jane Eyre, and make sure to come back for more. Thanks for watching, and bye.